So again, welcome to this first WebEx session covering the UCMS application. UCMS stands for Uniform Capabilities Management System. And this application is for the reimbursement of troops and police, covering the full process. But in this series of WebEx session, we will only cover the SUR module. SUR stands for Statement of Unit Requirement, and we will only focus on that for those 3 sessions. The rest will be shown at a later stage. However, we will today provide you with an introduction to the system and an introduction to the SUR module. And then Danny will show later how to navigate. So this is the planning of our training program. Yesterday we had our kickoff and we introduced ourselves. Today we are going to see, to provide you with an overview of the UCMS, so the application. We will also provide you an overview of the different process, an end-to-end process, and show you the different steps in this reimbursement procedure. And then Danielle will show you and go in the system, in the application, and show you how to navigate. He will show you the different applications, features that the UCMS has. Tomorrow we will start with creation of an SAT. An SAT stands for Standard Annex Template, and we will explain a little bit later what the purpose of the SAT, and then how to create an SUR. The third day we will cover the creation of an SUR from scratch. Sometimes there is no template covering your need, so you would have to start this from scratch, and it is feasible in the system. And then we also show you how to export, how to report, how to print in the application. So this is the agenda of today. Overview the different functionality of UCMS, the SUR process as well. We will go more in depth tomorrow, and then navigation. We will do a demo. We also have exercises prepared for you in order for you to practice what we have learned today. And then we also have a support session. Our support session we will be available for you until 11 your time, New York time, and then you will be free to leave since you have a town hall, if I'm not mistaken, that you can attend. The session will be live, so meaning that we will leave this WebEx session open, and if you have any question, you can come back. And this is dedicated to support you in the exercises. So if you have any questions during the exercise, or if you have any question that you want more clarification on certain points that you have seen during the session, you can always address them during the support session. Before starting again, I repeat, if you have any question, please post that on the chat. And please do send this to all panelists in order for Danny and myself to see them and be able to answer to them. So a little bit of background in terms of reimbursement of troops and police. You are all fully aware of the full process, but what we wanted to do is to give you an overview of the end-to-end process of the full reimbursement. So everything, of course, starts with the Security Council resolution, as you know, and then we finalize the concept of operations before going to the creation of an SUR. The 2 first steps are outside the system, and the system UCMS starts with the creation of an SUR. And of course, the SUR is the basis to draft the MOU, later the Memorandum of Understanding. And the SUR and MOU are, of course, valid for military and police. And we will see in the system how we differentiate that. Once we have the MOU ready and signed, we also sometimes have a pre-deployment visit, and sometimes not, but this is part of the MOU process. And then based on that, we have the inspections and verification reports, which is done on the field, and it's done actually on COE at the moment. But at a later stage, this ECOE will be integrated to UCMS. And then we have the reports on the troop strength and on the verification. And then the reports and all the calculation, etc., is also done and will be done under UCMS, which will be the basis for the payment. So the process was actually very clear for everybody, but it was before the application was people were facing some challenges, like, for example, the implementation of the end-to-end process, but also the lack of integration between the systems. Different systems were used, and a lot of steps were done outside or manually or in different locations. So that was a bit of limitation for the planners. So what we are expecting is from this application is to make the process more efficient and enhance the control mechanisms. We also re-engineer the full process to have also a standard or have standardization for all the different steps. We also hope that all the data will be harmonized, and again, standardization of processes for less confusion, subjectivities, and ambiguity. So in the system, what is included? I will go step by step and show you how the full process is, knowing that today and for this specific series of WebEx, we only focus on the SUR as you see now on your screen. So everything starts from the SUR, and the SUR has a part with a standard annex templates and annexes. And then we will see that how to create all that during the next sessions. From the SUR, this will be the base for the MOU and the creation of the MOU. And actually the system will facilitate, because once the SUR is there, you can retrieve the information and create your MOU without starting from scratch. But this will be done at a later stage in the process. Once you have your MOU and everything is done, that the troops are deployed, the material as well, the equipment as well. So you have the different inspections at different levels. Then you have the verification reports at different level, and then the troop strength reports as well. So this will, I am showing now the full process, how it will be done at the end of the development. So for the moment, all those steps are not done. The inspections are done via the ECOE application, but it will be integrated to UCMS at a later stage. And then you have that, you have the calculation, and then you proceed with your claim, and all that will be done in the system. And you will be also you will be able to see the purchase order and see the service entry sheets from the UCMS application. So you will not have to switch from one application to another, go to Umoja, etc. You will be normally be able to see that in UCMS. And from there, you go for the payment. And through the whole process, you have an approval process as well, which will come at a later stage. I'm not going to talk about that in detail at this stage because it's not implemented, but once it will be, specific trainings will be done on this. So what are the different new functionality or facilities that you will see in UCMS? Some of them we would like to highlight them now. So I talked about the standard annex templates, this will be the start of the creation of your SUR. It's a series of templates, and actually in production there is 13 SAT available that you can already use and that have been approved, and etc., that you can already use to create your SUR. So the SATs are mission and troops and police agnostic. So they are very basic. There's no specific information related to the mission that you would like to create an SUR. So that is really a template, not tailor-made to any specific situation. So it's very easy to retrieve and use it to create your SUR. So there's also the possibility to create annexes directly in the system instead of doing that manually outside the system. This will UCMS will allow you to do that. So you know the different annexes existing in the process, and actually for this specific module, meaning SAT and SUR, at this stage there's only Annex A covering the personnel header. The rest, the details are done outside the system at the moment, but at a certain moment it will be all fully integrated in the system. There is the possibility to create an Annex B with and include all the items. And you will be also able to create an Annex C in the system, self-sustainment, and all the items there. Is there any question at this stage, Danielle, that needs to be covered before going further?
Yes, Aida. No, so far we see that some other participants are joining bits by bits, and we have several questions related to the sharing of information. And for all you to know, today's presentation along with the exercises will be shared through email to all you right after the WebEx.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And I can see here Leah Angela asking if there is a list for the abbreviation, and yes, there is. The PowerPoint will be sent to you, and in the PowerPoint you will find the appropriate meaning of each abbreviation. Yes, I'm sorry, this specific program or application has a lot of abbreviation, and sometimes I'm myself confused with them, but no worries, they're all explained in the PowerPoint. And if you don't understand, or if that makes you struggle to understand what I'm saying, just please let us know in the chat, and I will say the meaning of each abbreviation, and if it's not done directly. So another point of another functionality is we talked about standardization, and one point of standard is a standard unit naming and classification structure that is that has been implemented in UCMS, meaning that all the different categories for all the different the units will be structured in the same way, either it is for police or for military. And it's quite easy and straightforward in the system. We will show that later. So the unit naming classification starts with the unit category, and actually everything starts from there. So you cannot start creating an SUR or an SAT without choosing if it's for a police or for military. And once you have this clarification, then the other information such as the unit type, the branch, the unit size, the unit specification, etc. are displayed accordingly. So based on the fact that if you create an SAT, meaning a standard annex template, or if you create a standard statement of unit requirement, or if you create an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, you have the different categories there. So I will show you quickly, but don't worry, you have this. You will receive this slide and PowerPoint at the end, so you can always refer to it. This is the different unit naming and classification structure for each unit. So this is for the military units, and you can see that everything starts with the category. Because this is for military, you have different types of units type combat or enabling. And from there, you have different branches and unit size, as well as unit specialization, sorry. You always have a remark if all the specification or classification structure is not clear enough. You can always add in the free text box whatever you want. This is for military, and you have the same for the police. And of course, the unit types are different since this is for a police unit. The branches are different as well as the unit size, specialization. I really have a problem with this word. And the remarks, again, you always have a box, a free text box there, where you can add your comments. Another functionality is, or at least another specificity of UCMS, is that the ECOE application will be enhanced to verification reports. So as you can read there, the information captured in the verification reports will be entered in more structured manner. So the whole purpose of the UCMS, of course, is to provide an easy structure and a standards through the whole process. So having this in mind, the ECOE has been enhanced as well. So as I was saying, the information captured in verification will be entered in a more structured manner to ensure accurate reimbursement calculation. The process to update deployment status of units once the verification reports are generated, that can be viewed by mission and HQ stakeholders, is now automatized. The data entry to supporting and support units is now facilitated for self-sustainment verification reports. The intermission transfer view is added to record movement of repatriated equipment across mission. And as I said, the ECOE will be merged into UCMS at a certain point. In the PowerPoint that you will receive, in the notes, you will have more examples of the enhancement of the ECOE application. I'm not going to go in detail into that because proper training will be done and provided on that. Two other points that I would like to quickly mention before going into presenting the SUR, or at least the end-to-end process of the SUR, is the system document and the global lookup. So it's two functionalities that would be very helpful in your daily life. First of all is the system documents. These actually are different reference documents that you can use, should use as a reference for the creation of your SUR, MOU, and etc., etc. So, for example, in the system documents, and we will see that later, under the system documents, you will be able to find the template to be used for the main body of your SUR. So that's under the system document, and Danny will show that a little bit later, and if not, we will definitely see that tomorrow when creating an SUR. We would have to go to the system document, download our main body template to be able to continue the creation of our SUR. Another very useful application or functionality, sorry, is the global lookup that will help you finding thousands of different information, like if you're looking for a specific SUR or if you're working for specific information on a nation or etc. etc. So this covers this and will help you for the actually to search functionality. Any comments? Any questions?
No, so far we don't. I do see Shalini and I think Krishna as participants. Maybe we want to put them as a panelist so they can receive eventually the questions.
Yes, indeed. I can see panelist Shalini. KM is Kinwi, no? Krishna? Okay. You are both now Shalini and KM. Krishna, maybe? Hello. You are both panelists, so you will be able to see the questions. And if you have any comments during the presentation, don't hesitate to intervene. But yes, I'm technically not here. Yes, Shalini, whenever you want to intervene, please do. Okay. The SUR module, as I said, I'm going through the overall process, and we will go more in detail tomorrow and the day after in more practical details. So now it's just an overview of the business side. Okay. So the end-to-end process, everything starts with the creation of a template, SUR template. We were talking a little bit earlier about the SAT creation, and this will be under this first phase. Actually, everything starts with the creation of your SAT, your standard annex template, and your main body template, which is in the system, but you would have to retrieve and update outside the system. But these templates have different objectives. The first of all is to develop an easy way for the system users to create SUR. Indeed, you don't have to, if you have already templates, you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to enter every single item because you're under the Annex B, for example, because your SAT has that already. Is also to leverage available master data in selecting major equipment, unit type, and self-sustainment categories. It is also to standardize the format and the structure of an SUR. This is the first step. The second step is the SUR draft initiation. So once you have your SAT created, this, by the way, is the first step is done by people with an admin role. So some of you have an admin role, will have an admin role in the system, and they can create the templates or the SATs. For the rest, it's done for the creation of draft, SUR draft, it's done by all the different users. So you can use a template to create your SUR draft, or you can start from scratch, and that's what we are going to see on day 2 and day 3. And once this is done, you have your SUR drafted. It goes for approval. The approval process is outside the system at the moment, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that because it will be covered at a later stage. In the development process, I mean. So the first step, as I said, is done by people with an admin role. And this is the start of the full process, okay? And actually, you see, because as I said, there's 13 different SATs existing in the system. So you see if the SAT is existing already or not. And based on that, this is the decision-making point. If it's a no, there is no existing SAT covering your need, then you start creating your SAT if you have the role with the creation of a template header. Then you select, as I said, the first step is to select the category, and then based on that, the unit type, the branches, the strength, etc., etc. Once you have your header, you are able to create your Annex A header. So at this stage, the header, that's the only part covered in the system is the header. The rest is done outside the system. The details of your Annex A is done outside the system. And then you create your Annex B and C header. Annex B for the major equipment, and Annex C for the self-sustainment. And in Annex B and C, you are able to create a header plus inserting the different items. And then you change the statute because it's first as a draft. We will see that in the system, and then you need to put it active to be able to use it. So if there is already an SAT, then you select the proper template category. Is it for military or police, depending on your need? And then you select the template body text. As I said, it's done via the system document. You create your Annex A and D, and any other additional annexes. And then again, it goes to active status. From there, then you go to initiate. This is the SAT part. You go to initiate your SUR draft. This phase can be done by any type of user. And again, the decision-making point is there an SAT covering my need or not? And based on that, we will see tomorrow if there is an existing SAT, how to create an SUR. And on Thursday, we will see if there is no SAT existing, how to create an SUR from scratch. So if there is no SAT, then you have to start from scratch, and it's creating headers, first selecting the unit type, is it military or police, to create your Annex header, to create your Annex B and C, inserting all the different items, the major equipment and self-sustainment, and then to select your SUR main body template, which is in the system, but you have to download, as I said, from the system document. So if there is an SAT, then it's slightly easier and faster because you only have to update. So you select the template, the SAT that is corresponding to your need, and you update the headers, and you put the mission name, and you update the different information that needed, and you update as well the Annex B and C, and then you go to the main body template. As I said, the update is outside the system. There's different steps still that is done outside the system at the moment, so you can see that there. For example, the unit organization. So it's all the Annex A detail is done outside the system. The different other additional annexes are also done outside the system. And once you have all the elements, then you export, and Danny will show us on Thursday how to export the different elements that are in UCMS. you gather everything for approval. I'm not going step by step in the SUR approval process because, as I said, it's not yet there, and we are not covering that in our 3 sessions. So this is actually the process that will be implemented. Just pay attention to 2 points: the notification during the flow, the approval flow. There will be some notifications, automatic notification in the process, so you would know where the approval is and where your SUR is in the full process. Even if the approval is not in the system yet, there are some best practices or some follow-up to do in the system, and we will show you how to do that later. At this stage, it will be manually done, but to make sure that you're following your SUR, you should manually say if it's internally concurred or where is your SUR. So you would have to do a bit of follow-up manually in the system. But we'll show that once we will create an SUR, it will make all sense tomorrow and the day after. So some specificities for the SUR, and then we go to the navigation. I just want to mention a few points here. Is that the SUR don't change actually if the mandates don't change. So you would not need to change the full SUR if something is changing. There is no amendment, but there are the creation of different versions, new versions that we will see as well. As I said, there is a notification process, and also some of the steps are done outside the system yet. For example, the full, the main body of the SUR, and some annexes and appendix. The confidential element of an SUR are mentioned in the system, but are not included in the system, and we'll show that to you tomorrow. So all the confidential elements remains outside the system, and of course the signature is also done manually. However, once the SUR is signed, you would have to upload the signed version in the system, and we'll see that how to do that tomorrow. Another new element is that the creation of SUR for rapid deployment level can be created in the system. So instead of putting the mission name, actually, to mention that it is an SUR for an RDL, you would have to put, in terms of mission name, UNPCRS, and that would mean that it is for an RDL. It's an RDL SUR. So there is no, instead of putting a mission name or special political mission or peacekeeping mission name, you would put UNPCRS, and we'll show that also later or tomorrow in the system. And this is all the elements that I wanted to provide you as an introduction. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Saida. We have here a couple of questions in the chat. First one, it's from Julius Lemaco. Basically, he's wondering whether it's the police commissioner in the mission or the police advisor in New York, the one approving the SAT. Currently, from our knowledge, I think that the approval process basically occurs at the New York level, but we have to double check on that part. Okay, Julius. And of course, Krishna or Shalini, if you do have some insights on that, we will appreciate you to chip in. And then Leah Angela Biazon is asking to please clarify what a spirit change. I don't know if you mentioned a spirit change, or maybe it's she misunderstood. But when you were talking about change, she understood spirit change, and she was wondering what was it.
Spirit. Okay. Sorry, Leah, I don't recall any. Let me go back maybe in terms of changes. I don't recall anything like spirit, but just to go maybe in while I'm searching. Okay. The spirit of change is it the concept of operation or the nature of the units, how they are supposed to act changes from enabling to convey. Huh. Yeah, okay. Let me go back to the slide. Okay. Yeah. All spirits. Yeah. So yes, they are. So again, I'm repeating what I've just said. So the spirit of change is if the concept of operation or the nature of the unit and how they are supposed to act changes. Fantastic. And in terms of approval, so if it's either police commissioner or police advisor, is a business decision. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Shalini. So I hope this answered the both question. Very good. Back to where we were. I will just give the floor now to, let me put you as a presenter. Yes. So over to you, Danny.
Okay, unmute myself. Okay, and perfect. Okay, good morning to everyone, and thank you very much, Saida, for the context and overview in terms of business and workflow of different processes. I think I'm correct if I'm saying that from now onwards, in the following WebEx sessions and navigation, we will be focusing mainly on the system rather than in the presentation. But it was very, very important, at least, for you to have a reference material to start creating a bit of the context when we are going to basically take you through a new application, a new system, which is Civil and UCMS. So now I'm going to share. I think this is, I'm sharing the presentation now. No, let me just go and share my desktop. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so although we do have all the features and different aspects in terms of navigation of the application, in this presentation we are not going to go through all these slides now. These are all reference material for you to go through the different aspects, all thoroughly explained with different examples and steps. But I do want to mention, which is the agenda, the basic features that we are going to walk through in not only today, but in the rest of the WebEx sessions. First, we're going to tell you how to log in, right? And then we're going to show you, yesterday we did, but now we'll do it all together, how to log into the new application. How to understand when you are encountering a mistake or some error while logging, how to solve all those errors from the system, how for you to understand your screen and have a good housekeeping rules and features when you are using your preferences, and the main layout features, which are the queries, advanced queries, display your columns, and exporting your results, right? There are plenty of other features that we will go through, but none of them are in the presentation. But it's important that we just cover the basics in the first WebEx sessions, and then as we are going to create SATs and as we are going to create SURs in the system, we will reinforce and show to you new features from UCMS. Because otherwise it will be too much information in one session, and that's why we want to split the navigation agenda into all 3 different WebEx sessions.
Sorry, Danny, I think there's an echo, so can you?
Yes, hello? Did I mute? You are muted, right? Now is it better? Echo. Yes, it's better now? Perfect, okay, thank you. Thank you, Shalini, for the feedback. Yeah, it's important that at least the audio, as long as the video, is well received. As I said, the reference material is over there and will be shared with you guys right after the session. But I want to highlight another document, which is the one that you see on the screen right now, which are what we call the guidelines of UCMS and basic navigation. This is a document that is intended to be as a reference material to start doing things in the system, right? So you'll see that there is a step-to-step approach in how to log in, how to get familiar with the screen icons, how to differentiate between a list of SURs and SATs, how to perform a query, how to use the query assistant, how to save a query as well, with different screenshots and steps for you to follow while you're starting to use the system, and then how to change the layout with the columns displayed, how to sort records, how to print and export your records as well into Excel or some other formats. So as you see, it's a complete package of documentation, which is 4 pages. So the idea in the navigation session now is to go through the first 6 points, right? And as this document will be shared with you right after this session, I think that it will be interesting for you to go through again the document and just follow all these different actions and steps for you to start to get familiar with the new application. So as you see in the document, first thing we're going to do is to log in into United Entity, into the application itself, which is crmuatraps.un.org. So I will go to the URL and I will start logging in with my user. Remember that the Unite ID is personal and unique for all of you, And it's important that if you do not have access or do not have the Unite ID handy, it's important that you tell our colleagues in New York, especially Shalini, so we can figure out what's going on in terms of the user, because the access, it's unique as in, and it's absolutely confidential as well. So that's it, my Unite ID. I continue, and I'm going to go to my password. Again, yesterday. Let's check. If not, I will put again wraps. Okay, continue. Okay, and then we have a security question. And once you click on continue, we will be redirected to the application itself. In my case, this is the training environment of UCMS. This is the first landing page that I get. Don't panic, or don't think that you did something wrong if you face or you encounter this page. It's an error message, but do not click on back. Just click on the icon here, SUR, that you'll see on the top, and then that's, let's say, the home page for SURs. First, and then I want to focus your attention on the header of this screen. So first, we're going to understand what all these different icons mean, and what are the different actions that we can do while going through this navigational menu. But basically, and even before starting using the application, it's important that you know how to, let's say, modify these different icons, as most of them, the ones that I see now in my screen, are not useful, right? I know that SURs, this icon is going to be useful for me because I'm going to create SURs and SATs, but the rest may not be so handy at this moment. So first of all, how to clean up, let's say, a little bit in terms of icons, my application. Okay, so first we have to go to our top navigational menu and click on Tools here. So if I click on Tools, I go to User Preferences, and from there I double check which is my user profile and information about myself. Okay, different my title, last name, first name, work phone, email, and so on. So in case that you see something that it's not right, is wrong, you may want to take a look at this and then report to the help desk of UCMS any wrong data or wrong information shown in screen. That's your profile, right? Then there are other options underneath here, like a startup view, tab layout, outbound communications, and report parameters. We're going to focus in this first WebEx on tab layout, because when we're talking about tabs, basically we're going to talk about different icons here on the top, the different colors. So let me click on tab layout. There I have on order all different potential icons that I might see in my screen. So you see that I have 10 initially, starting customer survey, as you see on the header, employees, second one, SURs, and so on and so forth, right? You see that I only see the first 10, 1 out of 10. If I click here on this small arrow, I show more. So I can go down and see up until 20 of them, 20 different icons that I might see appearing on the top. If you click on the right arrow on the right on the button here, I'll see up until 24. So I have actually 24 different icons potentially to be shown in my screen. So let me go back and to the first icon. So you navigate through the icons here in this list of records by clicking on these arrows on left to right. So important, because as I said before, when you are starting with the application, it's important that you just focus on the actions and items that are important for you, and let's remove the ones that are not handy or useful first time that you're using the application. So I'm going to go back to the exercise, right? So here in the exercise, you can see that I'm asking you to check the tab layout. So you have to perform the same thing as I'm doing. Go to tab layout and put the following icons in order. First one is home, second will be SUR, third might be IP reports, and fourth, system documents. These four will be the basics ones in order to start using the application, at least at the SUR level. So, and the rest of them, the rest that I see, like go back to the system, like work order and more use service, employees or customer service, I'm going to remove them. Okay. I want to focus on this column now. Right. You see that there are some checkboxes ticked. That means that if the checkbox is ticked, it means that this icon, in this case my VIP reports, it's hidden. So I don't see this icon on the top panel. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to put for my home icon, the first one. How to do that? Okay, just click on order here. Currently it's number 4. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. That's home. Okay, and I want to put it the first one. So you just click on your keyboard in 1. Okay, and obviously you don't want the icon to be hidden, so this text box it's not ticked. Okay, that's the first one. Home. Let me go back to the exercise and see that the second one should be SUR, and third might be IP reports. So I'll go to SUR. It should be my second icon. It's not hidden. Okay, so that's okay. My IP reports. I see that it's hidden because it's ticked, so I untick the box, and I'm telling by unticking this box, the system I'm telling the system to put it on the header part of my screen, and I'm going to put it on order number 3. All right. So, and the fourth one will be system documents. So go to system documents. I put it number 4, and I don't want it hidden. The rest of them that are not hidden, I'm going to tick them. So I'm telling the system to hide all those icons for the moment. So customer survey, yes, I'm going to tick it. So I wanted to remove it from there. Employees as well. SURs, I wanted there. Home, VIP reports, system documents as well. Forms, sticked. So I guess that everything is ticked. Let me go to the last page. And I see that communications, which is this icon, it's unticked, so I will tick it. All right. So in tab layout, basically you are cleaning up a little bit the different icons that will appear on your screen. Okay. As you saw that I was performing different actions here on this panel, and nothing was happening here on the top of the system. It's because you do have to log off and then log on again in the system in order to see or the system to refresh. So to log off, basically you go to File, Log Out, and there I click here, I click in this link, click here to log in again. Then once I log in again, you see I only see 4 icons, which are the ones that I selected previously. And do not click on back, just click on SURs, and then you'll see the list of SURs in the system. So yes.
Yeah, Danny, I'm just interrupting you because I have some comments here. I don't see home icon and I don't see system documents. So that's what Julius is telling us. So how to solve that?
Okay, if you don't see them, that may be because of two reasons. It's because they are hidden. So you go to user preferences, and from there you go to tab layout and check whether they are ticked. If still you don't see any of them, home or any other item that you understand that are important, you will have to create a ticket and ask for it. Because at least there are several icons and, let's say, actions that you will have to be performing as a police planner. And one of them should be for sure SURs. Another might be FE reports, and another one system documents. Those are, let's say, practical and operational icons that you will have to see on your screen. So please check whether they are ticked or not. If you still don't see them in the list of reports, just navigate, remember to navigate on these arrows as well. So you see up until 24 that I have available from myself. If you do not see any special icon that is important for you, and you understand that it will be used, you as a police planner, please report that to the help desk in UCMS, and they will be able to check your access. But yeah.
No, go ahead.
But before even let's say creating a ticket, just navigate through the tab layout and check whether all these icons are hidden or not.
Fantastic. He has checked and they are now in the tab layout. I will then report as advice. And just a reminder, we have a support session after this. So you will have Shalini, Ruti and Rachel in the office who can also provide support and will show you and clarify if there's any kind of similar situation. So during the support session, if you don't find one or another icon, that is the moment also to mention it to Shalini and the team there.
Thank you, Saida. So this is you see that we haven't even started creating anything in the system, but it's important that we all understand how to read the information in the initial screen, and that's why it's important that we know how to manage the icons and the different features from the user preferences point of view. Remember, tools on the top, user preferences will take you to your profile and the tab layout. Then let me go back to the exercise. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the SAT and SUR list. So we are going to understand the list of records that initially are shown in our system when we first log in. So SUR, remember, by clicking here on the different icons, we'll be going to one activity and another. Home will be, let's say, your initial screen when you have different work orders or service requests in case that you're working in I-need. SUR will direct you directly to the list of SURs currently in the system. Remember that we're working now in the training environment. So once I click on the SUR icon, I do have two small hyperlinks underneath. One is called SAT list, the other SUR list. By default, you are redirected to the SUR list. And then if you want to see the list of SATs, you click on the SAT list and you'll see the list of records underneath.
Yeah, just before going further there, I just have one comment when it comes to log out and then log in. One specification is the system do not allow you to open several sessions at the same time. Okay, so if you could not follow the same process that Danny did, and then you receive an error message and you cannot relaunch the session, then you have to close your browser and relaunch the application again, because as I said, the application do not allow you to open 2 sessions at the same time. So that's why you cannot log in again.
Thank you very much, Saida. That's an important aspect, meaning that if I want to go to another tab as well here and log in again into the application, that means that the system will prevent me to doing that, because I can only have 1 session open at a time. And remember that if you want to log out, it's by clicking on File, go all the way down to Log Out. Okay, that will permit to refresh the page in case that you are changing your icons or your parameters initially. Okay, I would, if I were you initially, I would just pay attention to the different instructions before even doing that in parallel, because sometimes you may lose some important information. Then, in order to avoid to go back and forward, I think would be wiser to just follow to my instructions, but not doing the same thing as you are navigating the system, in order to avoid further confusion. But if you feel comfortable enough, of course, you can do it at the same time with your credentials. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you,
Sure.
Danny. I just received a message that apparently you will conduct a fire drill, that they have to wait for more directive instructions. Then participant might have to leave suddenly, but no worries. Okay, so it will be today, but not just now. Thank you, Shalini, for the confirmation and clarification. But again, that's not a problem, because the session will be recorded. We continue the record of the session, and we still have 30 minutes maximum to go on. So hopefully this will not impact your attendance to the session. And if you're missing anything, we continue, and we will send you the link of the record as soon as possible. So sorry, Danny, unexpected event.
Yeah, thank you very much, Saida. That's an important piece of information. Yes, in case that all of you were vanished in 5 minutes and we were, wondering why. So yes, I will go on. I will carry on with the session, and then if you are not able to follow because you have to leave, of course, you can just go back to the recorded session, and then basically go through the session along with your system, and then you will be able to follow the instructions much better, because you could actually pause the recording and then perform, and then go back and then perform. So it will be actually very, very handy. So I will continue now to understand to guide you through the different, let's say, records that you may find initially. Remember that just underneath these the header icons, you have SAT list or SUR list, depending on whether you're going to work in SATs or SUR. So you will have to click on one or the other. Okay, let's go first to SUR list. If I click on SUR list, I have here a list of SURs created in the training environment from different units with different document numbers. And remember that this document number is not a number per se, it's a sequence of different master data elements that you're going to use while creating your SUR, right? But don't be, let's say, misguided by the concept number, because you will not see a code per se for an SUR, but you will see a sequence of different master data elements separated by slash. Okay, that's the document number, status of the SUR that might have different type of status. We will sure explain to you different status, but initially you have internal concurrence. You can create SUR in draft mode. Then if you go to any of these records and you go to the drop down in this small arrow, you will see the different options that we have here currently in status: draft, internal concurrence, or internally concurred. The same will apply to branch, mission name, unit category, unit type, and so on and so forth. If I scroll all the way to my right, in the last column, I see here SAT name. If any of these SURs, any of these records, because each of these lines is an SUR, if any of these records are coming from an SAT, I will see the hyperlink over here. Okay, so if I want to see the all records for SURs, I will have to click here on this button to open up just a little bit more the number of records. And as I did just before, I will navigate through the list of records by clicking on the right or left arrow on the bottom of the page. And there you see, in some of these SURs, I will see the SATs that were used initially to create the SURs. Okay, we will go through all these things during the different WebEx sessions, but for you to understand and to especially what this SAT name means is just the template that was used in order to create this specific SUR. Okay, so let me go back to the exercise. Here you will see that we're going to ask you to navigate through the first 3 records in SUR, the first 3 records in the SAT list, and to count the number of records. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the system and show to you how we can count the total number of records that we have, regardless whether we're talking about SURs or SATs. And this is applicable for all different actions in the system when you have a list of records. If I want to know the total number of SURs that are stored in UCMS, I will have to go to a menu and select Record Count. If I go to Record Count, I see a pop-up with information about the number of existing SURs in the moment in the system, which is 97 so far, regardless their status, their branch, the mission name, unit category. We have 97 different lines here, and that's why I only see 20 at a time, right? So if I want to navigate to the following 20, I will have to navigate in these arrows. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? I see some of them.
Just a remark
Asking in the chat
that the layout of the training environment. So please do use the link that I just sent. This is the training environment, and should look very much like the production part, a server, but we are using the training environment for our exercises and demo, etc. to not mess up with the live production server. Okay, so this is the link that Danny used, and if the layout is slightly different from what Danny just showed, it is somehow normal, because maybe Danny has more functionalities, or at least icons on the top of his page, and he just reorganized all the icons. So it's normal that your page doesn't look like his own, because he has tailor-made it for his need, and he just showed that right a few minutes ago. So that's all normal if the layout is.
Thank you very much, Aida. Well, yes, definitely. That's why I said before that it's better that you understand the different functionalities from the beginning, and then you will have to perform the exercise right after this WebEx session. Because otherwise you will be, let's say, going back and forward from the WebEx to your system, and that may interfere in the, let's say the knowledge gaining, right? So it's better, I guess, to follow the instructions and see how the system looks like initially, and then perform all these actions right after the WebEx. So let me go back, and that's why actually we create documents which is the guideline on basic navigation, okay, where we are asking you some questions and some steps that you have to perform and follow in order to understand the system. Okay, so perfect. We have the record count. We talked about the record count. We talked about the different list of records that we see here. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to the screen itself when I see the bottom page. So let's say this is the list, all SUR will be the list of all records, but every time I click on different lines, you see that the button, which is the form part of the screen, will be specific for each of these lines. So if I go to this DPO SUR and some artillery unit reserve 1, which is in trust status, if I click here, then at the bottom I will have more information about that specific SUR. I do have the same document number with the version, mission name, status, the substatus, and some dates as well. So it's not just a matter of going through the list of records, but every time you're clicking on each of these records, you will see more information right at the bottom. Okay. So basically, SAT list works the same way. If I go to the SAT list, different SATs, they have a fewer number of columns, and basically what you see in each of these lines is what you see on the header part, right? So if let me go to the fourth one, to the fourth record, which is enabling Cavalry Battalion. Once click there, I will see on the bottom, which is the SAT header, which is basically the same information that I see here. Okay, so.
If I may already introduce the terminology that we should use with this. So the first part, as you say, Danny, with all the SATs, this is the list part of your SAT, okay? So that's where exactly, that's all the list of the different SATs. And then when you click on one specific SAT, on the bottom, you have SAT header, and this is the form part. So you will hear us saying that during the 3 days. So I would like, I'm interrupting you, and I would like to highlight this. Then you have already that in mind when tomorrow I will be talking about the list part and the form part. And also doing for the exercises, then you are not confused.
Thank you, Saida. Yes, it's very important to stick to the different argot and the different names that actually are in the documentation and the exercises. So exactly, the list form and the form part will be basically the breakdown of every single page that you see in UCMS. Then we're going to teach you how to query a specific list of items. Query in the system in UCMS basically is to filter your records. Let's say that you want to, from the all SUR list, so I go to the list, I want to filter only the ones from MONUSCO. So I want to see only the SURs related to MONUSCO as a mission. Okay, so it's very easy. It's not very complicated. It's just a matter of clicking on query here on the list part of the page. I go to query, and from there the system is asking me, do you want to filter by unit size? Do you want to filter by document number, by status, branch, mission name, and so on? In this case, it's mission name. So you will have to basically click on the field, on the empty field, and I want you to just stop now and pay attention to this case required. The system is basically telling you with this case required is that it's important that you pay attention to the case, whether it's uppercase or lowercase, because, for example, each of the missions names will be all in uppercase, in capital letters. So if I put here MONUSCO in lowercase, and I go to go, I'm telling the system to look for MONUSCO in lowercase, and I go to go. the system will not be able to show me any record because MONUSCO was not written, it was not typed in capital letters. So let me go to query again, go to mission name, and type MONUSCO in capital letters. I'm going to go, click on go, and then there the system is telling me that the system has 5 records. You see here on the right part, 5 records, 5 SURs related to MONUSCO as a mission name. I'm going to query again, and please pay attention as well to this fact that sometimes when you just click the first letters, the system even is telling you, not in this case, you can actually look for different mission names in this black arrow when you go there. If you click in the drop-down, you will be able to select the mission rather than type them. And you see that MONUSCO is in capital letters. So this case required, it's important. So please pay attention to the how the different aspects of the master data elements, how this information it's posted in terms of lower or uppercase. So once you select MONUSCO in this case, you go to go, and again, the 5 same records will be there for you. Obviously, you can do the same query for not only mission name, but for all these different elements that you see in the columns. You can filter by effective date, by expiration date, by unit type, unit category, and so on and so forth. Okay, and I will not spend much time more on the query itself, on simple query, because we will do plenty of them during these WebEx sessions, and you will be really accustomed on how to use it. So do not worry that you will perform all these actions plenty of times this week. But I want to click on query again, and then tell you about what is this query assistant. Once you click on query initially and you go to query assistant, basically the query assistant is expanding your options of filtering. So you can filter in a wider range of master data. So you can filter by different columns or different master data elements within each column. Let's say if I want to only select SURs for 3 different missions, which will be MONUSCO, MINUSCA, and MINUSTA, for example. So I will have to select the field always mission name, which contains the MONUSCO. And remember to put all in capital letters because it's case sensitive. Second field will be mission name, again, containing MINUSMA. The third one, mission name, which contains MINUSCA. Asking the system to filter SURs that contains MONUSCO, MINUSMA, MINUSCA. And this is very important, the fourth, you see the perform query using this option and or, that's quite important. Why? Because if I'm asking the system to extract records of SURs from 3 different missions at the same time, the system will tell me that there are no SURs. Let me go to go, and you see there are no records because obviously we don't have SURs related to 3 different missions at the same time. That's why it's very important with the query assistant again to change the query from and to or. And you see here the description is the system is telling you that show all SURs where the mission name contains MONUSCO or MINUSMA or MINUSCA. Okay. Now, once I click on go, the system will retrieve all the SURs related to the 3 missions that I explained before. You see mission name MONUSCO, MINUSCA. In total, if I want to know the total number of records, I will have to go to menu, record counts, and currently have 30 records related to SURs for MINUSCA, for MONUSCO, and for MINUSMA. So obviously, for query, we can definitely design more queries and much more complex. But for the moment, I think that it's more than enough. I will go back to the exercise because you will receive this document right after the WebEx session. So I will invite you to perform the first 6 points, 6 exercise, let's say, of this document, which basically will be logging in, navigating through the list of records, perform one query, use your query assistant, and then save a query. From there, we can, in the following WebEx sessions, we can teach you how to perform some other features in UCMS. But for today, I think it was more than enough. So we'll pass it over to Saida in case that we have more questions and to wrap up. Over to you, Saida.
Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you for all the details and for explaining already the exercises, because let me take back. Fantastic. So let me share my screen. Here we go. So just to wrap it up, we have seen today the different processes, the end-to-end process of UCMS, the end-to-end process of the SUR, the statement of unit requirement, and we have seen how to log in to the system and how to navigate a little bit. So to implement that, we have prepared and to put into practice, we have prepared 2 exercises that I would like to explain. The first one, as you see there, is a link to an online questionnaire. It's like 4 or 5 questions on the overall process and all the different elements that we have seen. So we do encourage you to do that because it's a very good review for today's session, and we encourage you to do that as soon as possible and even before tomorrow's session, because it will help you continuing with us and understanding what we are talking about. The second exercise is the navigation exercise that Danny just showed, and actually we will share that today with you, and we will ask you, as Danny said, to do the first steps, the things that he has covered during today's session, and then the rest will be done tomorrow and the day after. And actually, the deadline for the second exercise is Thursday, end of business. So don't worry if you see much more points and items and steps that covered today. The rest will be seen in tomorrow and Thursday session. So we have split this in order to not overload you with information. We have split that in tiny bits, so then we see all the different elements step by step all together. I mean, if you are familiar enough with the system, I mean, go in the system, click around, check all what Danny showed us today, and if you think that you can go further with the exercise, please do. go ahead and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Again, this is the training environment, so it's all on safe environment actually. But if you don't feel comfortable by carrying on and continuing the exercise, that's fine. We'll see the rest tomorrow and the day after. As I said, we have a support session, and I put there 1 hour, but actually you would have to leave at 11. So because you have other commitments after this session. So we'll end our support session at the same time, around 5. But this is not the end of our support. If there's any question, you can always send us an email. And you have there our email address, ucstraining@un.org. So we will monitor that during the day and come back to you tomorrow at the latest before the training session. So we have a bit of time difference as well, so I apologize if we don't react immediately, but we will come back to you in a way or another. I think this is it. I don't know if there's questions on that I haven't covered. Otherwise, I will stop the recording now. Yes, I stopped the recording, but we remain live. We will leave the session open where you can post your questions, and we will monitor that. And where stop recording.